I think it's recording. I'm gonna say it's recording and hope that it is. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to the third installment of this state recipe series where I attempt to cook a different food for every one of the 50 states in the United States. If you haven't seen the other two videos that I've made of this series so far, I will put a link to the playlist right there in the corner that you can click, or I will also have the links in the description if you wanted to click those after this video. Today we are tackling another 5 states, and this video is all over the place as far as expectation versus reality and our overall thoughts on foods. This video has probably to date one of my favorite meals that we've tried, and also both mine and Dan's least favorite meal so far, where Dan actually completely pushed the plate away from him and said, "I don't like this," which, if you know Dan at all, you know he doesn't do. So I thought we would start things off with a high note, being my favorite recipe of this video and potentially of all of the states that we've cooked for so far, and that would be for Hawaii. For Hawaii, we're making a plate lunch, and basically what that is an entree, which we are doing teriyaki chicken thighs, a heaping mound of rice, and a traditional macaroni salad. So I'm currently working on getting the macaroni salad put together, and that I'm currently working on just shredding the carrot for that. And I have the noodles boiling right now. Alright, macaroni is complete, and we actually cut the recipe in half, so this is only half of what the full recipe will make, and this is definitely more than enough for just me and Dan. So I'm gonna put this in the fridge and let it chill until it's time to eat. Alright, we have the chicken here, and that has been marinating overnight in a homemade teriyaki sauce. And we're getting ready now. We're gonna move the chicken out of the bowl, which you can start doing that if you want. And then we actually have to pour the sauce into here and cook it up some so that we can baste the chicken a little more with that, then use it to basically like cover the whole thing once it's all done. I'm really bad at explaining it. You can just look at the link in the description that has the recipe for it, and that it'll make a lot more sense that way. Dan's getting ready to put the chicken on, and we have this really cool little grill that our neighbors gave us, which was really, really awesome. So now we don't have to go up and down a bunch of stairs, and Dan can sit and read a book. Plate lunches originated with plantation laborers back in the 1880s, who hailed from Japan, China, Portugal, Philippines, and other areas. Workers would make hearty lunches that consisted of leftover rice and lots of meat. When the plantation era ended, these meals stuck around thanks to lunch wagons who adopted them around the 1930s. They later added the macaroni salad, which seemed to help bridge the different flavors of proteins. We're making some rice as well for the plate lunch, and the way all of the pictures show is that the rice is scooped out and put in like a dome shape. And we don't have any spoons that are that shape, we don't really have any containers that are that shape, but what we do have, this guy. So I think what we're gonna do is put rice in this and then flip it over onto our plate and try to make domes like that, and we're gonna see if it works. Also, I reheated this teriyaki sauce stuff and walked away for a moment too long, and it got hot and boiled over everywhere. So now I'm letting that cool because it got all in there and all back there. So I have to let that cool off, and then I have to basically take the stove apart and clean it. And I'm trying this new bit in this video where I try to take these like aesthetically pleasing shots of the food before we eat it, but after I dress it up and make it all look nice. So let me know if they look good, if there's different things I could do to make them look better, or if it's an awful idea and I should scrap it and go back to just not doing that. But here you go. Little cup trick worked. Using that little glass cup for the rice, it worked. I was very excited about that. Give this a go. It's really mayonnaise-y. The carrot is nice in that. I like that.
Yeah. Not as nasty as I think I imagined it.
Dan doesn't like macaroni salad.
I'm grown up enough now, I think I can handle it.
Break into this rice tower.
I'm on board with that.
Oh my goodness.
That's good. That's good.
Did you get a smoky flavor out of that?
A little bit, yeah. That's good.
A part of me, is it bad? A part of me wonders if it's because I boiled that bit over.
It's possible. It's possible.
But
that's good.
Pouring that teriyaki sauce over the top of the rice, A+, 10 out of 10 recommend.
Oh, that's good. It sounded like Oprah. Oh, that's good. Oh, you're going barbaric, are you?
I am.
Okay. I can't be outdone by my wife.
Really good.
Yep.
The Lions know what's up.
Yes, they do. And my Gordon Conwell friend Ben, if you're watching this, thank you.
His friend Ben that goes to school with him grew up in Hawaii. So he was the one that we went to ask what we should cook for Hawaii. And this is what he recommended.
Mad props, as the kids say.
As the kids say.
The next state that we cooked for is Illinois, which is a state that's very near and dear to our hearts because I grew up there and Dan spent a lot of his childhood in Illinois. For Illinois, we are making Chicago-style deep dish pizza, and I currently have the yeast proofing right now, and that's gonna do its thing. And then I'm going to get the dough all mixed together and kneaded so that can be rising. Alright, there's my dough. I have a nice damp towel that I'm going to use just to kind of cover it, not on the dough like that. There we go. And just put it in the oven and let it rise for about an hour. Chicago-style deep dish pizza was created at Pizzeria Uno in 1943. It's debated whether the creator was Uno's founder, Ike Sewell, or Uno's original pizza chef, Rudy Malnati. The dough is traditionally made using olive oil and cornmeal, which I've never used in a pizza dough before, and mostly pre-baked before adding the toppings. We got all of our veggies cut up, and we have mushrooms right there. We have some sausage thawing in the water right there. And the recipe...
I'm fine.
Okay. The recipe calls for either sausage or vegetables, and we took that as a sausage and a vegetables, and Dan took that as a sausage and vegetables and pepperoni. So we're having a very loaded deep dish pizza, and I mean, it's a deep dish. It has lots of room for things, right?
We're pizza pluralists.
Alright, the dough has risen, and I went ahead and put it in the deep dish pan, and basically what we have to do now is cover it, let it rise for about rest for about 15 minutes, and then I'm gonna do one final sort of go over on it, getting these sides up a little higher, and then we're gonna pre-bake it, put all the toppings on, and bake it. This is sort of the second, I guess, I don't know, like the second, like fitting it to the pan after you've let it settle once. So I'm just kind of working it around, and I did read a comment that said to try to make sure you keep it like fairly thin, otherwise it will be too thick. So I'm wanting to make sure the bottom is pretty thin, but also make sure the crust, the sides are reasonably thick. And I've never eaten deep dish pizza before, and I've never made it before, so I honestly have no idea if I'm doing this right or not.
Was there a part that you were supposed to put any cheese in it?
Oh, that's what I was supposed to do right now. So I had read in the comments, said to work mozzarella into it to let it rise when you go to bake it. I'm gonna dump some on there. And basically the mozzarella is supposed to, one, add that first layer of cheese, but then it's also supposed to help the dough, I guess, hold its shape while it bakes, which I'm very interested to see if it actually does that. So I didn't know that cheese would necessarily do that, but if it does, cool. Now we're gonna let it rise for another 15 minutes. That is the crust pre-baked. There is a quite large bubble in there. It's going down. Ooh, yep, there. Oh, nope, it's rising again.
I want to poke it.
Okay, do it. Really, you just wanted to stab something with a knife.
I did.
It'll the weight of everything will fix it. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. But now we're gonna start assembling it. I guess this is kind of the real test.
Mm-hmm.
Ready?
Yep.
Oh yeah!
Wow.
Look at that. That is a deep pizza.
Alright, baby, here. Ready? Here you go.
Nice. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Stay together pretty well.
It's falling apart once it's on my plate, but that's okay. So I want to make sure I got a little bit of everything, if possible. It's a good pizza.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
It's a nice crust too, actually.
Mm-hmm. I was concerned about it overcooking, but I don't.
No, I definitely don't think it did. And it is a very thick crust, but it's not too doughy.
Not at all.
Hot. I need to blow on this.
It's all better now.
I do really like the flavor of that dough.
Mm-hmm.
That is really good. Good? Yay? Nay?
I forget.
Yay? I say yay too.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're jumping just one state over to Iowa, and for this meal, we actually cooked 2 different states in this one meal. So during the taste test portion of this state, you're gonna get a little bit of a sneak peek of what the next state is as well. For Iowa, I am going very simple and very traditional, and we are making corn on the cob. Iowa ranks number 1 in corn production of all of the states, and in 2015 produced more than 2.51 billion bushels of corn. But 99% of the corn grown in Iowa is field corn, which is the big ears of yellow dented corn you see that's all dried and harvested in the fall. While a small portion of that corn is used for cornmeal, corn oil, corn syrup, and corn starch, its primary use is for livestock feed and manufactured goods, making it more considered a grain. But for the sake of this video, we're going to be focusing on that 1% that's grown as sweet corn.
Bless you, Iowa.
Was this hand shucked? You really can't go wrong with an ear of corn.
Not really.
North Carolina is the next state on our list, and this is actually a fun little introduction because I was at work when we had to start this recipe, so Dan starts it off for you.
All right. Hello, everyone. It's Dan here. Yep, that's a big surprise. But today it is my turn to start our new state recipe, but this time we're going to be doing North Carolina barbecue, and we're going to be doing it with as a slow cooker barbecue with a pork shoulder or pork butt, whatever they call it. This is only a half of one because we can't eat a whole one. That would be gluttonous. And this is going to be interesting because on one hand we've been living in North Carolina for 5 years and we've never had North Carolina barbecue. I suppose this is not our last chance to do it, but it's fitting to have North Carolina barbecue in North Carolina. I'm unsure what to expect of it because it has a primary vinegar base, which I've never had a barbecue that is so dependent on some type of vinegary flavor. So I'm not entirely sure how this is going to go, but this is the way North Carolinians do it, so who am I to judge?
There's no debate within North Carolina that barbecue should be pit cooked and pork. There is, however, great debate over which parts of the pig should be barbecued and whether tomatoes should be used or not. The East says barbecue the whole pig and use a sharp, tomato-free sauce. The West limits their barbecuing to the shoulders and have a milder sauce with some tomato. And we didn't have access to a pit that we could barbecue our pork in, so we had to settle for a slow cooker. So this has been on low in the slow cooker for about 9 hours now, 9 or 10 hours, and basically the second step is to shred everything that's in there, and after that's shredded we're going to put it back in there and add this little concoction of spicy ingredients to it, and it basically just stays on warm until you're ready to eat it. So that's what I'm going to work on now. So we actually slow cooked. It's not that big. It's actually a fairly small roast, but even just with a fork, like, look at this, how easily it's just flaking apart. Like, I'm barely touching this and it is just falling apart.
What? Oh, well, of course.
Hey, that was unplanned but pleasant.
Ready?
That vinegar base is nice.
That's surprisingly good. Huh.
I like that a lot.
That's really good.
It's a really unique flavor too, which I really like. The vinegar smell was not nearly as strong as I expected it to be.
Mm-hmm.
From all of the comments and from what you had said, like the comments on the actual recipe and then your like word of caution before I got home, I walked into this door expecting to be knocked backwards by the smell of vinegar, and it was so subtle. And maybe it was just because I was expecting such a dramatic wall of scent blocking my entry. But it was subtle, and I was like breathing it in, and it was amazing. I thought it smelled so good. And finally we come to our last state, Maine. And this was the state that for some reason Dan and I just both did not like it. I don't know, I'll let you see for yourself. For Maine, we are making lobster, and we are actually cooking lobster 2 different ways. We are making it in some lobster rolls with one way, and the other way we are having just plain boiled lobster. And we're doing it the 2 different ways because Dan has never had lobster before. And to be fair, I've only had lobster once before, so I don't really know that much how it tastes either. But Dan did not want his first experience with lobster to be lobster in a bun smothered in mayonnaise, which I understand. That's fair. So, but I also really wanted to do something different with the lobster because when we did our Alaskan king crab, it was basically just boiled, and that's how we ate it. So I wanted to do something different. So we came to a compromise. We have 2 lobsters here. Well, this is just one right now, but the other one's in the fridge. And we're going to basically do them just 2 different ways. I'm gonna get this guy boiled for the lobster roll because that takes a lot of prep because you actually eat those rolls cold. I'm gonna get all this going and have this one basically in the fridge ready to go when we go to boil the other one so that everything will be ready at the same time.
There you are.
Oh dear.
Oh.
Ew. Stop, don't poke him with himself. That's rude. He apologizes.
I apologize.
See? All right. Just gonna grab this little guy. And his friend. Also, we bought these frozen because I 100% refused to boil a live lobster.
So if you're wondering why we bought them frozen, that's why.
Lobster rolls are popular throughout New England, but Maine-style lobster rolls are served on New England-style hot dog buns, which are split on the top instead of on the sides. The lobster meat is served cold, and mayonnaise is either spread on the roll or tossed with the meat. McDonald's in some New England areas actually serve lobster rolls as limited edition items.
Alright, so that whole lobster...
Left this thing at the bottom of the ocean.
The whole lobster gave us about that much meat, which is not a lot at all, and Dan is quite upset about it. Well, neither one of us really understand why it costs so much for such a tiny little bit of meat, but you know what? I was planning on cutting that lobster roll recipe in half anyway and having only 2 instead of 4, but looks like I'm cutting it into a 4th and only having 1 instead of 2. So we're gonna work with what we have. We're learning good lessons, like never buy lobster. I'm gonna give a go to my lobster roll.
Okay.
And see how this goes. I like that.
Can I give it a go?
Yeah, you can definitely try it, yeah.
Okay. That's all right.
Mm-hmm.
I see what the butter does. This is not good for me.
Tasting, you're just not there.
I'm not there.
Okay. All right. Well, I think this is the first dish we've had that is not there's no green light. I mean, the lobster roll I like.
I confess, that is an upgrade to this.
Wow. Okay.
And I stand corrected. We could have made the whole thing lobster rolls and I might have been able to stomach it.
Lobster rolls get a thumbs up. Regular lobster, no. Okay, I decided that I wanted to try a little bit of the lobster meat on its own as well, just so we could both give our opinions on how it tasted, and there was sort of that fair review, if you will. Drown it in butter, mask the flavor, then it's a little better. And yeah, see, and then there's an aftertaste. I genuinely think if it wasn't for the lobster rolls that had the buttered toasted bun, the leaf of lettuce, and the mayonnaise, and then the mayonnaise had a little bit of lemon juice in it as well.
Okay.
I really think if it wasn't for that, this would have been a 100% thumbs down recipe. So, I mean, I'm gonna give it a 50-50. Like, it was good, but it wasn't good, because the plain lobster, yeah, that's not for us.
We'll take correction. Let us know what we did wrong, or
Yeah.
invite us over to have lobster with you and show us how it's done.
Yeah, I mean, we'd be willing to give it a second go because we know we might not have done this right. But will we go to a restaurant and buy it? No.
And that is all of the states for this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed following along with us on this journey of trying all of these new foods and stepping out of our comfort zones and becoming better chefs through lots of trial and error. As usual, I will put links in the description to all of the recipes that we followed, and I will also include any tweaks that we might have personally made to the recipes that I linked. If there is a state that I haven't cooked for yet, and you know a food that just epitomizes the essence of that state, please leave a comment down below letting me know what that food is, because there's still a decent amount of states I don't know what I'm cooking yet. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. I post videos every Wednesday and Sunday, so make sure to be checking back so you don't miss any of those. Have a great week, stay relaxed, and experiment with some new foods this week and let me know how it goes. Bye!